What's going on? How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a good day, good week so far. We have another quarterback video for Virginia Tech because I made a list of some quarterbacks that I think is very realistic for Virginia Tech in the new James Franklin era, and I got a lot of feedback from that. And I did leave one name off the list that I wanted to come talk about because the more I think about it, the more intrigued I am, and that is Colton Joseph. I think if I had to make a prediction now, I think Colton Joseph is. I think Virginia Tech's on the table. I think. I have no sources to say yes or no. If I had to say, I think Colton Joseph is on the table for Virginia Tech right now, and I think James Franklin will be recruiting him because he's at Old Dominion right now. He is obviously in the transfer portal. Had a massive year at Old Dominion, not too far from Virginia Tech, not too far. You close enough you can go recruit fairly easily. Now, I do want to hop into some of the numbers, but first off, like I said, you're looking for a quarterback. It's very speculated that Virginia Tech will be in the quarterback transfer market because James Franklin has gone into there and completely flipped this program around talent-wise, like pretty quick. You're going to see a lot of these dominoes start falling. You're going to see some Penn State players start hitting the portal, sadly, because I'm a Penn State fan and I hate to see that, but you will start seeing that, and some of them are going to follow James Franklin. We've already seen Penn State's entire recruiting class go over to Virginia Tech and follow James Franklin. I think they're going to be very active in the transfer portal outside of even the Penn State roster. So I think Colton Joseph is going to be one of the top targets because he is one of the hottest quarterback names in the market this year. So, like I said, massive year at Old Dominion. If you want to look at his numbers, his passing numbers don't jump off the table to you, but then you look, he had 1,000 yards rushing too. So, when we've seen James Franklin at Penn State, I understand quarterbacks haven't worked out with his offensive systems. First off, you have a new offensive coordinator, and how is that going to work? He's a former tight ends coach, first year offensive coordinator. Does a quarterback like Colton Joseph want to go play for a first year offensive coordinator, or does he want to go somewhere more proven off the rip because he's got like one shot, or not really one shot? He's only a sophomore, but his goal from transferring from Old Dominion is to go pro because he's had massive years there. There are some turnover issues, obviously. Um, I think it's fixable. But anyway, oh, I forgot. Back to the Franklin thing. Since Colton is a dual threat quarterback, a true dual threat quarterback, like I was saying, James Franklin at Penn State, yeah, quarterbacks didn't really work out for him. The quarterbacks that did work out for him were ones that were able to use their legs. Colton Joseph is that guy. I think James Franklin should be recruiting these guys, and we've seen him recruit these guys too. I mean, Bo Perbula now at Missouri, Franklin brought him in. Trace McSorley was a big Franklin guy, super dual threat guy there. Sean Clifford even could use his legs some. I think it's very intriguing. I think it's very intriguing. It seems like the style that James Franklin would go. Now, when we look at what Drew Aller did with James Franklin, that's a completely different style of quarterback. That's a straight up pocket passer, and it just didn't work out in the James Franklin offense. The dual threat guys work in the James Franklin offense, and or not. It's not really a James Franklin offense, but he obviously hires the personnel to come in and run these offenses. And I think the personnel that he brings in, the style of football that he likes to play, assuming that the new coordinator is going to be similar to what we've seen with all these Franklin offenses, which is shorter stuff, not much throwing down the field. I think Colton Joseph is perfect for that system. Now, 2,600 yards through the air, 21 touchdowns. Like I said, there are some turnover issues with Tim Picks. And how will that translate going from the Group 5 to the ACC? Those turnovers being that. You look at his numbers on the ground: 1,000 yards on the ground, 13 touchdowns on the ground. This kid's a problem. He is a problem. And I think, honestly, once you get more talent around him, because you can't say the Old Dominion team is loaded with talent. Get him with all this talent that James Franklin is bringing over and recruiting, and probably will pick up in the transfer portal. Colton Joseph could be one of the most, I'd say, explosive and fun quarterbacks to watch in the country, being his play style. He reminds me of a McSorley guy that could use his legs a little bit more. He reminds me of that Bo Perbula that James Franklin recruited. Again, they could use his legs more. I don't know. I just think it's a perfect fit. I think that Virginia Tech should make a heavy run at him, and I think it's very realistic that you could land him because I don't know how his market is looking right now. I don't know how many top premier programs, like top premier programs, are in the market for Colton Joseph because he is still kind of a raw prospect. I don't know. And I think Virginia Tech has the perfect opportunity to swoop in and go grab him. I think Arizona State could be on the table as well. Some other smaller but bigger schools. You know what I mean? Kind of like in that Virginia Tech tier and all that. I think this is a guy that could bring Virginia Tech's offense back. That's all I'm saying. I know I repeated it several times. Now, one other thing that I will mention here while we're talking about quarterbacks. Ethan Grunkemeyer at Penn State did meet with the media today, and they asked him about is he staying or is he leaving? He said nothing's decided. I will go on and say if Ethan Grunkemeyer hits the transfer portal, he's probably going to be your quarterback next year at Virginia Tech. He's a Franklin guy through and through. Seems like, or like, that's what it seemed like at Penn State at least. Had a good year at Penn State. I think this all depends on if Penn State brings in Rocco Beck. We know Matt Campbell came from Iowa State to Penn State, and we don't know what he thinks of Ethan Grunkemeyer. So there are some rumors floating around that Rocco Beck could be heading to Penn State. If that happens, I think Grunkemeyer hits the portal, and I think Grunkemeyer is your next quarterback at Virginia Tech. And from a guy who watched a lot of Grunkemeyer, if that is the case for all the Virginia Tech fans, I would be super excited. He showed all the promise that he could have shown. I think he has a very high ceiling. I think he's going to be a very, very good quarterback. He has potential to be one of the better ones in the country by the time his senior year rolls around. And I don't think that's a stretch. I saw a lot from him. His numbers don't jump off because he only had about half a season. And it looks like there were turnover issues, but there really wasn't. He threw, I think it was 3 picks in his first game against Iowa, which is a great defense, in your first ever start, and you're still super young. After that, we didn't really see much. He looked really good after that. Now, I know that was all over the place. But anyway, I think first off, um, to end this video, I think they should target Colton Joseph, and I think they will, and I think it's very realistic. And second, I think if Ethan Grunkemeyer hits the transfer portal, it's not a bad move at all. I would be stoked for that if I was a Virginia Tech fan. That's all I'm gonna say. So, if you did enjoy this video, then I would greatly appreciate if you left a comment, like, subscribe, everything, because I want to hear your feedback. So, Virginia Tech fans, let me know in the comments what you think about this and what you would think about Colton Joseph, or out of all the quarterbacks out there, who do you realistically want to be your quarterback next year? Because I know Virginia Tech hasn't been able to land a really great quarterback as of late, and this is the year that they can. So, it's going to be very interesting. Also, all the Virginia Tech fans on that last video showed me so much support. I appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys. And yeah, just stay tuned for more because we have a lot of Virginia Tech content coming. I have a video coming about all the staff that Franklin's hiring and some more. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.